Hello, and welcome to Vodka and Ghosts. Viewer discretion is advised.
Alright, cheers. Cheers. Here we go. Take a big swig.
So, my the title of my episode tonight is called 8 Signs That You Are a Reincarnated Soul.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
And I find that very, very
interesting. Interesting to the fullest.
So, reincarnation is the idea that our souls live many different lives in different bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of subscribe to that belief.
Yeah.
It's a belief that has been around for a very long time as part of many spiritual traditions. Many people feel they have lived before, even if they can't clearly remember them.
I feel like that might possibly, in all possibilities of possible outcomes, it could be like when you possibly feel like you've
Possibly
the
lived
possibility of having possible deja vu.
What?
Deja vu.
Deja vu.
Bless you. Feels. I feel like that's what like deja vu feels like when you feel like you've lived a moment before, but you haven't.
You are so in the right vein. That's like exactly right. So many people feel like they've lived before, even if they can't clearly remember them. Well, apparently, there are signs that may suggest that you are a reincarnated soul, a soul that carries wisdom and experiences from other lifetimes that your soul has lived. 8 signs specifically.
Let me say something before you jump into this.
Okay.
I knew a girl, she's got a son who I believe is like
a reincarnated person.
He's like 7 years old. Anyways,
Dang.
He knew the road, like the street of this house on this road that was in a different state that he's never been to before.
What? How did you even come to find this out?
He's pretty much like, he's told his mom about things that have happened that has not happened in his lifetime.
Really?
Which is really crazy, yeah.
Was his mom able to like validate those things?
Yeah, so my aunt had a coworker. Her name was JJ, and her son has always kind of been a little bit different.
Mm-hmm. Like older than his years,
a
kind
little
of
bit,
thing?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And he's very much into things that normal kids his age wouldn't be into. And so, anyways,
that, oh my gosh, that's like so much what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and so, anyways, she, or Stacy, or I don't know, one of them, they told us about him, knowing like the name of a street, knowing about a house, and knowing certain details that typical people wouldn't want to, or like wouldn't know. And so they Googled it, and the street is a legit street, like the house is a legit house.
What?
It's a little weird.
No, that's so crazy. But yeah. I believe it, especially after like this very shallow dive that I've done. Mm-hmm. Like there's so much more to do.
It's like a shallow dive, but it's like it's a little deep. Well,
we can get more into the deeper stuff eventually.
Like, get some oxygen tanks.
Right. Let's dive the fuck in.
Dive it in.
So let's talk about these 8 signs and see if they might mean something to us or to some of you guys.
Yeah.
So sign 1, we're jumping in. Unexplained fears or phobias. And this really resonates with me because I'm such a fucking chicken and I'm afraid of everything. So sometimes we're afraid of things, but we have no idea why we're afraid of them. Like you've never had a bad experience with that particular thing, yet you're terrified of it. And you just don't know why.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, there's things that I'm afraid of that I've like never even done, but it's like why I'm afraid of it because there's nothing's bad. So nothing bad has ever happened to me with these things that I'm just naturally terrified of. You know.
I mean, I'm personally scared. Like if I go to the grocery store at night.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I have to have 911 like already like pre-dialed on my phone just in case, because I feel like I'm gonna get kidnapped.
Right.
But I've never been in like a hostage
But
situation.
that right there could mean that maybe in a past life your soul was kidnapped.
And maybe.
Like your soul in someone else, like a physical body. Things like that. And another example is maybe you're terrified of water. Nothing bad has ever happened to you in the water, or even someone close to you, but still you cannot bring yourself to get in the water.
That's like my mom.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Did she ever have a bad experience in the water?
She watched her brother almost drown in like a donut tube. So she never like experienced.
No, that's
it herself.
an experience. Yeah, but that's an experience that would fucking terrify you.
Yeah, she never learned how to swim, but she saw that and was like, "Fuck it."
Yeah, so you'd think that would make you want to learn to swim, though.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Save yourself.
So maybe you start to panic when you're in small spaces.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing, nothing bad has ever happened to you in a small, tight space, but you still freak out when you're in one. So these fears don't make any sense. Your current life may be coming from things that happened to you in a past life. And that makes so much sense. You know, because I'm like afraid of everything. And Danny's like, oh my God, like this is so annoying. Because he wants to do stuff and I'm like, no. I don't even like, if there's waves in the ocean, I don't want to get in. That's why I've been taking the kids to the Gulf of Mexico for years.
I mean, fears are triggered by something.
Right. But like if it's something that's never happened to you, you're just scared of it.
I mean, I don't know about that, but...
So these fears don't make any sense in your current life, is what I'm saying. Because nothing in your current life has ever made you
You're just
scared
erring
of
on
this.
the edge of caution.
Yes, exactly. So these could be coming from a past life.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're afraid of water, it's possible that you drowned in another life. And that's terrifying. If small spaces freak you out, you might have been trapped somewhere in a previous life.
A little scary.
I know. So these unexplained fears can be really intense and can and do affect your daily life because you'll avoid certain places or situations even though you know there's no imminent danger.
Yeah, you have no reason to feel this way. You just know that you feel it.
Right. It would make sense if something bad happened to you. Of course you're going to be afraid. But if nothing bad happened to you, then it's like, all right.
But wouldn't that kind of go towards like the fear of anything? Like, for example, my mom has a fear of snakes.
Mm-hmm.
She's never touched one, never been trapped by one. She's never been attacked by one.
Right, and that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Them.
Yeah, so maybe in a past life
she got strangled by one,
or bit by one, or anything traumatizing
murdered.
like that. It could have murdered her. It could have eaten her whole. Maybe she went to the Amazon and a boa constrictor just consumed her whole body.
It just ate her face.
Yeah, and she was dead. But luckily for her, in this life, that didn't happen.
Not yet.
Oh my God. All right. Or let's say you refuse to fly in a plane or climb to high places. That's me. Now I have to be like seriously medicated to get on a plane. I don't like high bridges. I will not drive on them. Things like that.
I don't have a problem with bridges. I have a problem with like ladders and going up to like certain heights.
No, I have a fear of heights as well. I will not do that. I won't do it. You can't get me to do it. But like with the plane thing, I don't like flying. It's scary. I've since learned over the years through like people who are therapists and stuff like that is it's probably because you're not in control of the airplane. But I did have a client one time who came in and he was a pilot.
Okay.
Like a fucking United pilot, like a commercial airplane pilot.
Yeah.
And he told me that the most dangerous part of his job was driving to work.
Like driving in a car?
Yeah. Like there's so many more car accidents than plane accidents.
I mean, I guess people get road rage. You don't really get like plane rage.
Right, but
They're not,
a majority
of
car crashes are not deadly. The majority of plane crashes are deadly, I would say. You're not going to have like a ton of plane crashes all the time and then they're like, oh, it's just a little fender bender. You know?
I mean, the good thing is that they're few and far between. It's not like an everyday occurrence.
The plane things?
Car crashes and stuff, that's pretty
much daily.
Common.
Yeah, when I go home from work, it's always saying that there's accidents all over 66 and it's annoying as shit. All right, so sign number 2, deja vu. Just what you're talking
you've
about.
Felt this before. You've experienced it before.
So have you ever been somewhere that you've never been before but felt like you've been there?
Yeah,
Yes,
a lot.
Me too. Or have you seen like a flash of a memory of that exact same scenario that you're currently in? You're like, I've lived this before.
I mean, just downstairs, I like asking Ben a question. I feel like I have asked it before. Like I have already done this.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So it comes through like a memory because you're remembering something and then you're actually living that same memory at the same time. And you're just like, I've been here before.
Yeah.
Even though I haven't. Which is really like, it stops you in your tracks. You're like, wait a minute. You have to like think about it. Like this has happened. I'm having deja vu. And I've said that so many times in my life.
Yeah,
like, I'm having deja vu. This has happened before.
And then you start like questioning, like, has this happened before? Like it
Yeah,
feels so
I know.
familiar, but you don't remember like exact details that you're like,
But like something
Did
just
this
strikes
happen?
you like,
Yeah.
wait a minute.
Yeah.
I've been here before. Or have you ever met someone for the first time but had a weird feeling that you already know them?
I don't think I've ever experienced that, but I don't know.
Well, that is another form of deja vu. So deja vu happens to so many of us. And it's such a strange feeling, but it doesn't really scare me. I actually find it like fascinating and kind of confusing or frustrating only because I don't understand exactly what it is and I don't know what's happening at that moment. I just want to know the truth. Like, am I actually reliving something or am I
Like, give me the
like,
facts.
why does it feel like this has happened before? You know?
Yeah, I get it.
So other examples of deja vu would be like, all right, say you're walking down the street in a city that you've never been to before, but before you even get to the corner, you already know what's around it.
I mean, that's a little weird.
Yeah. But I feel like something similar to that has happened to me before. And I'm like, have we been here? I don't know.
I mean, what's weird is, you know, when we went to Knoxville.
The scary guy that chased us?
No, who was like on the side of the road. He had like blood coming out of his
Yeah, that's
mouth.
what I'm talking about. The one that ran at us. He was terrifying.
Like that whole scenario felt familiar, but yet I knew, like in my heart, it had never happened before.
Right. But you know what? At the same time, for me too, like I had the feeling like, oh, that guy's not really out. Like he's going to fucking jump up and chase us.
Yeah.
And that's what he was gonna, and then he did.
Yeah.
Because he was acting like he was all like coked out or whatever the fuck he was on, you know, out on the ground. And then bam, he jumps up and chased us. And I felt like I knew that was going to happen.
He was getting chased by the cops.
Yeah. And then he chased us. He ran after us. That was terrifying. I didn't like it. But I feel like before it happened, I feel like I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like a sixth sense.
Right. So another one would be like, okay, let's say you're at a party or like at a bar or something. And you're talking to someone you just met, but in your mind, you already know what they're going to say. And then they say it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
weird.
saying? Does that make sense? So I feel like this happens a bunch, actually. Like, people will be talking to me, because, you know, we do clients every day. And so I feel like
You've heard
my
this
clients
story before.
will be talking, and I know exactly where they're going with it. Even if they're not, like, directly talking about how it ends.
Yeah.
As they're talking, I can tell where it's going. Isn't that weird? Like, I already know. I know it's coming out of their mouth.
Sometimes the stuff that, like, clients tell you is weird.
I know, but, like, when you already
like,
know
why
what
do you
they're going to
trust me?
say before they say it,
Yeah.
you're like, am I a psychic? Like, what's happening?
Yeah, it starts making you
'Cause
question
then they
your
say
own
it.
sanity.
Right. It's a super weird feeling, but it happens a lot.
Yeah.
So deja vu happens when memories either from past lives or parallel versions of ourselves pop into our current reality. It's like your soul remembers, but your mind doesn't.
Yeah.
Because your soul was in your pre-existing body before this one. So it's kind of remembering past lives. Anyway, there are extreme cases of this, though, of like deja vu. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, so there's this one kid from a very young age. This was fascinating to me, who remembers being the captain of the Titanic.
That's a little crazy.
And this is a kid, a child.
Yeah.
You have to look it up when you have time, but it's super fascinating. And this kid, I saw him it was on a show called like Psychic Kids or something. Mm-hmm. And all these professionals were testing him because he was getting everything right. And so they somehow made this computer program of a virtual tour of the Titanic. Every fucking space you could go on the Titanic. And they would tell the kid, like, go to the captain's quarters. And this kid...
Like, remembered?
He would go to the captain's quarters. Okay, go to the station where you steer the boat. I don't know what it's called. And he would go there. And, like, okay, go to the engine room. He would go right there. And it wasn't like he had trouble getting there. Like, it was just crazy. He knew. There was also another kid who, I guess... I don't know how it worked out, but it was like, he said he was murdered in a past life, basically. Okay. Yeah. And he was able to figure out the name of the person he was before and tell police, I found my murder weapon, or like, I know where my murder weapon was buried and you can find it. And they basically were able to solve the case from this kid telling them that stuff.
That's so crazy. It's like
that's
was
insane.
it his memory, or was he possessed by somebody who did know the information, who knew it wasn't possible to access the information? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but no, I really think it's like that soul was in the person who died.
Yeah.
And then it came back as
like
another person
almost. And
they were able to be like, this is where my murder weapon was. And they were able to validate it.